So when you are back in town, where do you like to eat? I know your picture is up in Colecus.
Well, see, Colecus is a throwback to my early days when I was a delivery boy for my father's meat market. And I would be on a bicycle when I was about 10 or 11 years old, and I would have all these parcels in a big bicycle carrier with a carton with all these patches inside, and I would start on my deliveries all through the city. But I'd stop off at Colecus's, which at that time was a truck with the side turned over, you know.
Yeah.
And the girls were in there making the French fries, and I'd stop and get a nickel worth of French fries, and I'd take my route, and when I finished the route about an hour and a half later, I'd come back to Colecus's for the next 5 cents of chips. And then I watched them from the time that the senior Colecus had a push cart outside of the hockey rinks to that truck and to the stand that they now have, that restaurant they have in Redwood, Maine.
That's amazing.
I've been with that family for all their lives, all my life.
That is the coolest.
And that's why they put my picture up there. I was one of their best customers.
That really is neat. I had no idea. How many fries would you get for 5 cents for a nickel?
Well, you got a nice little cupful.
That's good.
And they're nice and hot. They kept you going for a few minutes, and they were delicious. And these are things that you remember. And now every time I go back to Winnipeg, I always stop off at Colecus's and have my French fries.
There is a social coming up, a North End style social, on Friday, June 18th, as part of the 100th anniversary reunion weekend for St. John's High School. And then you are coming in, you're going to speak at the dinner, is that right?
That's correct.
So when you sort of, what comes to mind instantly when you think of St. John's?
Well, my time of going to St. John's was a very tough time of my life because I had been a very sickly child and very small. When I was homeschooled, and my mother was a former teacher, and so by the time I was going back to school after being bedridden for a year or so, I was leapfrogged from one class to another until finally I graduated from public school at a very early age and went to high school. I was the smallest kid in the school. And I remember very much how I loved high school, but I couldn't play in the sports. I wasn't big enough. So I turned to acting in little plays and being the sports editor of the St. John's. I forget, it was the St. John's Times, I think was the school paper. And those are things I remember.
Who of that era when you went to St. John's, how many of those people are you still in touch with?
Well, I'm afraid to say that as the years have gone by, fewer and fewer and fewer, and as a matter of fact, my closest friend who went to St. John's with me, and I followed his career because he became a doctor in Fresno, California, and we picked up our friendship after many, many years in Fresno, because that's not too far from Los Angeles.
Right.
And he passed away about 2 or 3 years ago, and that was one of my last contacts with the high school, of the fraternity of kids that lived there, that worked there.
It's amazing the sort of legacy and reach that St. John's has, because it's an amazing school. It's produced some amazing people.
I don't know whether you have the list of famous people, but 25 years ago, when we had our 75th anniversary, I got up and I recited the names of famous people that came from that high school, doctors and lawyers and entertainers and hockey players and so on. It was amazing, and very amazing that all that came from one little high school in Winnipeg. And now, with the 100th birthday, I probably will repeat some of that.
How often or ever do you speak with Burton Cummings? Because you two are forever linked, obviously, by the St. John's connection.
Only when I saw him at the anniversary.
And what do you talk about? Like, do you say, hey, you're kind of like me in that we're famous and from St. John's.
Hey, how are you doing? You don't have too much time to socialize at these reunions. You come, you hello, you shake hands, you hug, you kiss a few friends from the old days, and look around to see if they're still alive.
I got a question for you from my friend Chrissy Troy, or a topic. She just has a couple things, just so you're aware of what's going on the weekend of the St. John's 100th anniversary.
So there's the Salisbury House pancake breakfast. When's the last time you ate at a Salisbury House?
when I was there 2 years ago, I visited the Salisbury House as part of the festivities from the Variety Club. Cause they took me to the Salisbury House where they reunited me with several people from my past, and I had a Salisbury nip. Now, they don't call them nips anymore. They just call them hamburgers now.
Oh no, they're nips, buddy.
Oh, they still call nips?
Oh yeah.
When I was a kid, we would go into the Salisbury House and have 2 nips and a cup of coffee for 15 cents. The nips were 5 cents each. Today you can't get the nip for 5 cents. You can't get a bite out of a hamburger for 5 cents.
That is unbelievable.
Isn't that something? 5 cents for a Salisbury nip. Of course, I'm going back to the Middle East, you know.
That is so cool. Okay, what else on the docket there, Chrissy?
There's a class and years photo, so you're going to meet up with your classmates for another chance at that class photo. So if you didn't like your hair back then, you can switch it all around now.
I've still got my hair.
There's going to be 100 years of St. John's slideshow. So through the 100 years, there'll be a spectacular look back at the history of the school.
I'm looking forward to it. It's really something. It's not the same school. As you know, they tore down the old school and built a new one.
Now, you may be interested to take this back home with you because there will be the launch of a book during the reunion weekend, and it's called The Mosaic Village, A History of Winnipeg's North End.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's great. That's great. As a matter of fact, a few years ago, there was an artist, I forget his name, an artist in Winnipeg, a very good artist, and he did a lot of his paintings on the north end of Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And he asked me to write the foreword to the book, which I did. And he sent me a painting as a gift to me. He sent a painting of Luxton School, where I lived across the road from Luxton School on Polson Avenue, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And the painting was the school as I saw it from my window. As I was bedridden for a year, I would sit at the window and look at the kids going to school. And he sent me a painting as seen from that window of Luxton School. And of course, it was after Luxton School I went to St. John's.
Well, you, Monty Hall, are awesome. And we can't wait for you to come back and visit. And you are, I mean, in our top 3 on our wish list for Manitoba Homecoming 2010 of people we'd like to invite back home and that would actually come visit. You were in our top 3. So this is a huge success, and we thank you for never forgetting where you came from.
My pleasure, and when I get back there, come up and say hello.
I will for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
He's so